Welcome to Vlymskerp. You are part of almost 400 people doing Vlymskerp, and my prayer for you is that you will again grow spiritually and have a better understanding of who you are and who God is. Exodus chapter 34 verses 1 to 10. I want you to read carefully through it. Exodus 34 verses 1 to 10. And this is the story. You know, Moses had this remarkable experience with God. In his generation, there was no one who had a more intimate relationship with God, more intimate revelations of God. He had this encounters with God that is just mind-boggling. So he had this encounter with God on the mountain of Sinai, where God gave him the 10 commandments on 2 pieces of rock. But God himself prepared the rocks. God himself wrote on the rocks and gave it to Moses. It was no effort of Moses. God just gave him the 10 commandments. And I think we all had experiences where God gave us something. When He saved you, God gave you salvation. When He called you, God gave you a ministry. When you need it, God gives you an anointing. God gives you faith. God gives you a love for His word. Everything that you receive from God, He gave it. Free of charge. But while Moses was away on the mountain, the people got restless. And they go to Aaron and they asked him, let's build ourselves a new God, because Moses is gone, and where is the God of Moses? And they built a golden calf from their own gold. They create their own God. That's a topic for another day. They created their own God, and they paid a terrible price for trying to create their own God and serving their own God on their own terms. So Moses came down from the mountain and saw what was happening, and he got so angry, he let the stones drop. He dropped the stones and it broke. He just dropped it down because of his anger. He had no more of what God gave him out of his free will. So this was his problem now. What God gave him was lost. It was broken. The 10 Commandments, God's plan for his life and God's plan for the people were now broken. And then he felt very sorry for himself and sorry for the people, and he interceded, and he went up on the mountain again and asked God, please forgive me, and I want it back. You see, I think when you had those wonderful experiences with God, and God saved you, and God called you, and God anointed you, you have to come down from the mountain. And then there will always be people at the foot of the mountain. And people will always have this effect on you, that you dropped something that is precious because you got angry or you got frustrated, and because of people and because of circumstances, you dropped what God gave you, and it is broken. Now, at this point in time, it is broken. And so Moses asked God, can I just please got back what you gave me? Can I please have it back? And God said, okay, you can have it back, but this time you will have to cut those stones yourself. And you will have to write on those stones yourself. You know, it's antique times. There's no angle grinder that he can grab and quickly cut stones and quickly write on the stones. So antique times. I don't know how he did it. But I can imagine in his times it was very, very difficult, maybe frustrating work, hard work, and maybe many times he wanted to give up on it, but he remembered what he had, and he was desperate enough to get back what he had. He was desperate enough to get back what he had. So the good news is you can have it back. I believe God can make whole again anything that is broken. God can mend any broken thing, your marriage, your finances, your calling, your ministry, your anointing, your salvation even. God can mend anything that is broken. But are you desperate enough to do whatever you can? Are you willing to put in everything you can? Are you willing to sacrifice so that God can mend that? And then in verse 1 and 2 of Exodus 34, God said to Moses, and when you have finished preparing the new stones, come up, come meet me on the mountain again. Come and meet me on the mountain again. When you have done everything you can and sacrifice everything you can to make whole again, to mend that which is broken, then you can bring what you have prepared to Him, and He will do a mighty miracle. You can go and read verse 10 of Exodus 34. And then God revealed His character in those 10 verses on a very, very wonderful way. And I want you to find the characters of God in the first 10 verses of Exodus 34 and discuss the characteristics of the God we serve. And that is what you will find on the mountain when you have done everything you can and you bring it back to God and He meets you on the mountain. This is the characteristics of God, and this is who God will be for you if you are desperate enough for a touch and a change of God. Discuss those characteristics and see, what do you learn from God by studying Exodus 34 verses 1 to 10.